While doing my girlfriend's laundry, I noticed a big hole in her yoga pants. It was in the crotch. I was dumbfounded. I had never played such a dirty trick on her. 01. I bought these yoga pants for my girlfriend. They're a brand name and of good quality. What kind of exercise could cause such a big hole? My heart sank. Unless someone had deliberately damaged them. I couldn't remember playing any kind of sex game in bed. I stood in the bathroom, holding the yoga pants, and couldn't help but start to think about it. The more I thought about it, the more it didn't feel right. The more I thought about it, the more I got a bad feeling. At that moment, my girlfriend sent me a WeChat message. "Baby, I have to work overtime tonight to train this member extra hard, so you'll have to fix dinner by yourself." 02. My girlfriend Gwali is a fitness trainer. At that time, I was still a fitness novice, so I just wanted to find a trainer to show me the ropes. I liked her at first sight and bought 20 sessions from her in one go. Later, during our daily training, we fell in love with each other and entered a period of ambiguity. After we got together, she promised me that she would only teach female members and handed over all the male members in her hands. But not long ago, I accidentally found messages from male members on her phone. I immediately questioned her. She said that if she didn't accept this male member, her performance for this month would not meet the standard. I know that the gym hasn't been doing well lately. Plus, the chat history between them was pretty normal, so I didn't say much. But she started working overtime a lot recently, saying that the gym's business is busy. At first I didn't think much of it, thinking that she was really busy. Now it seems there's a problem. There's definitely a problem. I suppressed my anger and replied to her, "What time do you get off work? I'll pick you up." "Oh, no need, baby. This female member has a poor foundation, so I need to teach her more. I have to be responsible for her after I've charged her money, and I don't know what time it will take." Female member: "I don't believe a word you say." I immediately changed into my gym clothes and drove to the gym. When I arrived, I didn't go straight through the front door. Since the receptionists knew me, I couldn't let them suspect anything. I went around the building and entered the gym through a small door. This was something Gwali had told me to do. After searching for a long time, I finally found them in the yoga room. When I saw them, I almost fainted. 03. Gwali was sitting on top of a man in the riding position. The two of them were passionately kissing. While he was kissing, he reached inside Gwali's clothes and fondled her. This is a female member. Is this the person she said was in charge? She really doesn't think of me as a human being. If I lean in a little, I can hear their conversation. "Ouch, don't strangle me too hard, or my husband will find out." Wouldn't it be more exciting if he found out? I hate it when he does that. Am I really so much better than your husband? Forget about that idiot, he's a buzzkill. Should I call your husband, then? I got a feeling last time. Ouch, you're so bad. Shit, it turns out that I have long been part of their game. My blood rushed to my head, and I wanted to rush in there and kill them right now. But reason told me not to act impulsively. Even if I exposed them now, the result would be at best a big fight or a fight, and then I would break up with Gwali. That would be too easy for them. I quickly used my phone to record everything, and then quietly returned home. You wait and see. I won't let you off the hook without a fight. 04. I remembered that guy. It was the same guy I found in Gwali's phone as a male member. His name was Zhang Yang, 20 years old, and he looked like a university student. The reason I paid attention to him was because he had a pretty face and was slightly attractive. He was the type most girls would like. After I got home, I sent the photo to my childhood friend Ahao and asked him to find out more about this guy. Ahao had been in the world of crime for a long time and had a lot of connections, so he was the perfect person to handle this matter. I told Ahao everything that had happened, and he got even more excited than I was when he heard the story. Fuck, this guy must really want to die, right? Do you want me to bring some of the guys to get him? No rush, we'll investigate first, they'll have something to cry about then. Ahao promised, told me to wait for his news, and said he'd give me an answer by tomorrow at the latest. It wasn't until after 9 p.m. that Gwali came home. I'm exhausted, these members are really hard to teach. She stretched while complaining to me. You poor baby, go take a bath, I'll cook you a midnight snack. I said with a face full of adoration. I'm faking it, I feel sick myself. "You're so sweet, baby," she said, making a move to kiss me. The thought that her mouth had just been kissing other men made my stomach turn, and I almost threw up. I took advantage of the situation and ducked out of the way, then dove into the kitchen. After I'd quickly made a few dishes, I took advantage of the fact that she was still in the shower and secretly checked her phone. Unfortunately, everything was normal. Apart from her father and her younger brother, she hadn't even chatted with any other men. There must be something fishy going on. The two of them were all over each other tonight. I'd be damned if I believed they weren't chatting up a storm behind my back. She must have a spare phone. Before going to bed that night, Gwilly held me and courted me. I turned her down, saying I was too tired from work. What a laugh. Does she even deserve to touch me now? I'm afraid she might infect me with some disease. After making sure she was asleep, I snuck out into the hall and started rummaging through her bag. A bright light inside caught my eye. It was her tablet, the screen of which was still on. This was truly a sign from the heavens. I couldn't wait to open WeChat. This account I had never seen before. It seemed to be a small account she had registered. At the top of her WeChat was a note called husband. The profile picture didn't match mine, and it was obvious that it was that braggart. She's never even called me her husband. After reading their chat history, my scalp went numb and I felt like I was in an ice cave. 04. He's so ugly, like a goblin. And his dick is smaller than yours and his skills are not as good as yours. He's just a dog to me. He has to buy me whatever I want. He doesn't even dare to fart when I'm angry. Of course I won't marry him, spend the rest of my life with him. I'd rather die. Besides, my parents have always told me to find someone richer. After getting the compensation for the demolition of his hometown, my sister will fly with you. Seeing this, my hands couldn't help shaking, and I almost couldn't catch my breath. It turned out that she never loved me from the beginning. What she loved was just my money. Later, the tone of their conversations became increasingly vulgar, lewd and obscene, almost unbearable to watch. I couldn't believe that these were the words coming from the person by my side. My girlfriend, who usually blushes at the mere mention of dirty jokes, was a complete slut behind closed doors. The thousands of rambling chat logs were like 1,000 needles, stabbing my heart. The two met at an offline event. Later, in order to be able to get together openly, Yang Yang applied for membership and then bought her course. What's even more shocking is that Gwilly actually paid for all of this. She used her own money to boost his sales. I doubt she's got a brain in her head. After taking photos of all the chat records, I put the tablet back where I found it. I didn't go to bed in my room, but instead spent the night on the sofa. I was afraid that if I slept with her, I would not be able to resist the urge to strangle her. The next day, before dawn, I got up and went to work. Every second I spent with her was an ordeal. Meanwhile, Ahau brought me the latest news. 05. I was shocked when I looked it up. Ahau told me that this guy was famous for being a Casanova at the university. He majored in basketball, and took advantage of his good looks and good figure to hook up with a lot of young girls at school. He even got some girls pregnant. He's a real scumbag. Ahau sent someone to follow him for a few days, and they discovered something even more shocking. Not only has he recently hooked up with an older rich woman, but he's also having an affair with a married female teacher at the school. During his breaks, he usually hangs out with the female teacher in the morning, has sex with her in the afternoon, and spends the night with the rich woman. Good guy, I said to myself. What a master of time management. Even Luo Moxiang would have to call him master. But the more dirt he has on him, the better for me. Ahau sent me all the evidence he had collected, along with the contact details of the older woman and the female teacher's husband. It's worth mentioning that Ahau told me that the female teacher's husband is a martial arts instructor. He was in prison a few years ago for fighting. He's a real wolf. Great. Very good. A perfect revenge plan came to mind. 06. That afternoon, Gwilly lied to me, saying that she had to work overtime again that night. I replied indifferently, "You work hard, baby. Hurry back after you're done, and I'll cook you a midnight snack." "Thanks, baby, I love you." After work that night, I drove my car outside the gym and used Ahau's new mobile phone number to send an SMS to the older woman. "You fat cow, so what if you're rich? You're old and ugly. Zhang Yang says he wants to puke every time he sees your face. He and I are the real deal. So if you know what's good for you, you'll get lost and leave us alone." Almost instantly, there was a call from across the street. I hung up and then sent her a text, "We're in the middle of something, this is the 4th time today, he's really got stamina." Another call came in, so I flipped my phone over and ignored it. "Fuck you, who the hell are you? What is your relationship with my boyfriend?" She continued to bombard me with text messages. I ignored her. All I had to do next was watch the show. I was in the car, blasting the air conditioning and listening to music, when sure enough, after a while, Zhang Yang came out of the gym. He looked nervous, stopping cars on the roadside while holding the phone and explaining something. Guoli followed closely behind him, seemingly trying to persuade him to stay. But then Zhang Yang pushed her away, turned to her with an unusually fierce look in his eyes, and quickly got into a taxi and drove off. Guoli was left standing there with a sad expression on her face. It seems that he still loves money a little more. I, who witnessed the whole process from the sidelines, couldn't stop laughing. The way the dog ran away in defeat was really funny. "Relax, buddy, the game has just begun." 07. I had just arrived home when Guoli came back. I looked at her innocently. "Baby, I thought you were working overtime, why are you back so early?" "The member had a family emergency and finished early," she said with a forced smile. Although she disguised it well, I still caught her disappointment and displeasure. After dinner, I was washing the dishes in the kitchen. Suddenly she hugged me from behind and said softly, "Baby, my parents and younger brother are coming tomorrow. They want to have dinner with you to discuss our marriage. You have to behave well then." "I'll behave my ass. She's already cheated on me, and she has the nerve to talk about marriage. She's shameless, and she's unbeatable. Her parents are no better. They're two old farts with no proper jobs, and all they think about is how to find a rich husband. Ever since they found out that I'm with Guoli, they've been taking advantage of me. Before, I turned a blind eye because of Guoli. As for her brother, he's a complete loser. All he does is play games, and he never even leaves the house for a month. This dinner is 99.9% about the bride price again." I was going to make up some excuse and say I'm not free, but then I changed my mind. "No problem, I'll pick them up tomorrow, and I'll make sure they're happy with our marriage." 08. The next day after work, I went straight to the restaurant. As soon as I walked in, her father warmly put his arm around my shoulder, while her mother thoughtfully pulled out a chair for me. "Eat your vegetables first. Sue, you must be hungry after a long day at work. I've ordered all your favorite dishes." Her parents took turns serving me food from their own bowls, while my girlfriend wiped my mouth. I felt like a king. After a few glasses of wine, the true nature of her parents' intentions became clear. Her father said to me with a slurred tongue, "Su Cheng, you and Lily getting together is really a joy for her mother and me. We have treated her like a precious jewel since she was little, and have never let her suffer. Now we just hope that you will treat her well and protect her, and that she will never be wronged." I toasted her father and said cheerfully, "Don't worry, uncle and aunt, I will definitely treat Lily well, and I will never let her down in this life." Her mother then said, "From childhood to adulthood, Lily has never known how many people have chased after her. Even now, many matchmakers still approach me, saying that they want to introduce rich young men to Lily. Just last week, the daughter of the family next door got married, and the groom's family gave a dowry of 200,000 yuan. I really can't figure it out. When it comes to their daughter's education, looks, figure, and personality, what can they compare to Lily?" I smiled. "Lily is the most perfect woman in the world. I feel so lucky to have met her. Don't worry, auntie and uncle, I know what you're worried about. My family's dowry is definitely more than anyone else's, and it will definitely outshine theirs, and I guarantee it will make everyone else jealous." Her mother saw a way out and said excitedly, "If you say so, then this amount shouldn't be too much, right?" She held up 3 fingers. 300,000, she really dares to ask for it. Is she marrying off her daughter or selling her? I've already inquired about the bride price in their family, and it's only about 100,000. The neighbor's daughter's bride price of 200,000 is most likely made up as well. Seeing that the atmosphere was getting there, I was prepared to make a big move. 300,000 in bride price, you really think of it? I slammed the table and said angrily. Her parents were shocked by me. My girlfriend looked at me in disbelief. Even her younger brother, who had been playing games the whole time, dropped his phone in shock. Her father quickly recovered, stood up, pointed his finger at me, and seemed ready to yell at me. The tension was at a peak. 09. Her father was a hot-tempered man, and I was afraid that if I provoked him, he would hit me. So I quickly explained, I mean, Lily is such a good girl, how could she be married off for just 300,000? I've discussed this with my parents, and our family has decided to pay 500,000 in bride price. After I finished speaking, their eyes widened and they all looked at me. Their eyes were full of surprise. Huh? How much? How much did you say? Her mother broke the silence with a loud noise. I said, Auntie, 500,000. My dear, I told you, I felt that Sue was reliable from the first moment I met him. We can trust you with Lily. Her father was so excited that he almost jumped up. Her mother was also so overwhelmed that she didn't know what to do. My girlfriend hugged me and then kissed me on the cheek, cooing, my baby, I knew you were the best. This family really knows how to act when they see money. I looked sincere, but inwardly I sneered. What's reliable or not is that money is the only thing that counts. I looked at her brother, who was still playing games, and continued, Uncle and Aunt, I don't think it's a good idea for your brother to just play games at home all the time. How about this, after Lily and I get married, I'll pay for a supermarket to open downstairs, and your brother can be the boss. What do you think? Her parents were so excited that they couldn't let go of my hand. I continued to paint a rosy picture. If Adi does well, I will pay for a flat for him, as his future marital home. At this point, the two old folks didn't know what to say. Gwilly even passionately kissed me in front of the whole family. Her brother also stood up, contrary to his usual behavior, and toasted me, saying, Brother Sue, you will be like a real brother to me in the future, through thick and thin, I will do anything for you. Her father followed suit and toasted me. Her mother waved her hand, and a few more dishes were added, all of them abalone, sea cucumber, and king crab. I glanced at the menu and saw that it wasn't cheap. It didn't matter, I wasn't paying anyway. The family of four was immersed in great joy at this time, and no one noticed the coldness in my eyes. Laugh as much as you like. If you don't laugh now, you won't get the chance again. 10. That night, Gwilly put on a set of sexy lingerie I had never seen before and seduced me wildly in bed. Unfortunately, my heart had already died for her. That night, while she was asleep, I peeked at her tablet again. But this time it was a black screen and I needed a password to unlock it. I tried her birthday, my birthday, and some of her usual passwords, but none of them were right. Suddenly I thought of Zhang Yang. I entered his birthday and the tablet was unlocked. I couldn't help but marvel. This is true love. The latest chat log stopped an hour ago. I was very unhappy about what happened that night, and you still haven't given me a reasonable explanation. Although I was curious about how Zhang Yang explained it to the older rich woman that night, after my prank, he has really been behaving himself lately, and I haven't seen Gwilly working overtime. Didn't I tell you? That's my eldest sister at home. She came to visit me recently, and I had to keep her company. I don't believe you. If you don't believe me, that's fine, but I can't keep you company these days. I looked at her and said, how can we not meet? So my plan is going to fall through. It seems like it's time to give them a push. So the next day I had a big fight with Gwilly. Fuck you, are you having an affair with that male member? I've long felt that there's something wrong between you two. After I said that, I slapped her. That felt so damn good. I'd wanted to hit her for a long time. My girlfriend covered her face with one hand and looked at me in shock. Su Chang, are you fucking crazy? How dare you? She didn't finish her sentence before I slapped her again. So what if I'm crazy? Tell me, when did you start with that male member? You fucking slut. Gwilly went straight red with anger. She yelled at the top of her lungs and came at me, ready to scratch me. Su Chang, I curse your whole family. You're the slut. Your whole family is a slut. I pushed her away and said to her, you're getting married, don't you feel bad about doing this? My girlfriend shouted like crazy, I didn't do anything with that guy, are you crazy? I looked at her with disbelief and contempt in my eyes. Fine, Su Chang, you forced my hand, don't regret it. With that, she slammed the door and left. Later that night, her mother called me and asked what was going on and why Gwilly had suddenly called her to say she wasn't getting married. I didn't say a word. Perhaps sensing my anger, her mother quickly said, Lily has been spoiled by us since she was little, and she can be a bit willful sometimes, but I know her as a person, and she would never do anything to hurt you. I laughed. You know nothing. Your daughter is a fucking bitch. I remained silent and continued to act aloof. Her mother was anxious, fearing that I would also refuse to marry her. If that happened, the 500,000 yuan bride price, the supermarket owner, and the wedding house would all be for naught. Don't be angry, Sue. I'll call her right now and tell her to come back. Let's talk about this face to face. Not long after the call, a hotel room booking popped up on her tablet. I guess she was so mad at the baby that she forgot to take her tablet with her, and she forgot that the tablet could sync messages. I knew she couldn't hold back any longer. The show was about to begin. 11. After seeing the hotel booking message, I immediately drove to the hotel. After waiting for about an hour, I finally saw the adulterers. They walked hand in hand into the hotel, chatting and laughing. The sight of their love for each other made me think that they were the real deal. I put on my hat and mask and followed them quietly. After they entered a room on the 10th floor, I sent the location and room number of the hotel to the older rich woman and left her a message: "Fat cow, Yang and I are here waiting for you. Today we'll get this all sorted out once and for all." The older rich woman almost immediately replied, "Bitch, don't run if you've got the balls." Within 20 minutes, the elevator lobby was abuzz. I quickly hid in the stairwell, ready to watch the show. I saw a slightly overweight woman in her 40s striding angrily over. And she wasn't alone, she was followed by 3 1.9-meter tall muscle-bound men. It was obvious that she was really angry, and after finding the room, she angrily called out. Now the couple is probably in the middle of a fierce fight. They don't have time to deal with her. At this moment, a cleaning lady happens to pass by. The older rich woman is quick and nimble, and snatches the universal room card from her waist. With 2 beeps, the door opens. The 4 people instantly rush in. After taking a good look at the situation inside, the older rich woman yells an expletive: "Fuck you, Zhang Yang, how dare you cheat on your old lady." Then the woman's screams echoed through the entire corridor. Who else could it be but Guoli? It wasn't too late yet, and many people were still awake. They opened their doors one after the other and poked their heads out, ready to watch the show. I saw that the fire wasn't hot enough, so I shouted in a falsetto voice, "The original wife is beating up the mistress, everyone come and watch." When everyone heard this, they all perked up and came running out to watch the fun. I mingled with the crowd and turned on my phone to record the video. At this moment, Zhang Yang was like a dead dog, being held down by 2 muscular men. Guoli, on the other hand, seemed to have just taken a shower, her hair was still damp, and she was wrapped in a towel, curled up in the corner shivering. "Beat him up," said the older, rich woman with a cold expression. Without saying a word, the last muscular man kicked Zhang Yang hard in the groin. Ah! The sound of a pig screaming echoed in the air. The male onlookers couldn't help but squeeze their crotches. What a relief! If I didn't fear being exposed, I would have wanted to go up there and kick a few times. "Stop, baby, let me explain." Zhang Yang's face turned pale, as if he was about to faint the next second. "Just spit it out. Baby, you've got it all wrong, she's actually my sister-in-law, nothing happened between us." Sister-in-law? What a stupid thing to say. Who would go to a hotel with their sister-in-law and then get naked and talk on the bed? Isn't that treating people like idiots? The older and wealthier woman was really more angry, and she kicked him in the stomach. "Fuck your sister-in-law, I think she's a whore who sells sex." Guoli had never been cursed like this before. Although her family valued boys over girls, her parents had never stopped loving her. She had a strong sense of self-esteem and pride, so she could not tolerate this. "Who the hell are you calling? You're the one who's a whore, old woman," she yelled, rushing over to hit the older woman. However, she didn't even touch the other woman before she was held down by one of the muscular men and unable to move. As soon as the men exerted a little pressure, Guoli screamed in pain. "Weren't you arrogant when you sent me those text messages? Today I'll show you how awesome I am." The older rich woman first ripped off the towel from Guoli's body, and then shouted at the onlookers, "Come, let everyone see what a slut who seduces other people's men looks like." A white patch of skin was thus exposed to the public. Guoli was ashamed and anxious, and tried to cover the key parts with her hands. However, there was too big a difference in strength between her and the muscular hunk, and she could only watch helplessly as she was humiliated. The onlookers were all enjoying the show and no one would help her. "You bitch, I'm so angry with you." After saying that, the older rich woman turned on Guoli and slapped her 10 times, making her cry. Zhang Yang pretended to be dead the whole time, not daring to even fart. 12. This farce didn't last long. The hotel manager and security guards came up and dispersed the crowd. Before leaving, I heard the older woman say to Zhang Yang, "The hundreds of thousands of yuan I spent on you during the relationship must be returned to me in full, or I'll find someone to beat you up every day." I waited in front of the hotel for about 10 minutes, and finally saw Zhang Yang limping out, followed by Guoli, whose face was swollen like a pig's. It was a stark contrast to when they first arrived. The two had a big fight and then parted ways in discord. Everything went as smoothly as I had planned. Seeing that it was almost time, I sent Guoli a message that I had previously composed. "Baby, I was wrong. I shouldn't have been so sensitive and said those nasty things to you. I just love you so much that I was afraid you would leave me. Forgive me, okay? I promise I won't do it again. In a few days it's my birthday, and I want to formally propose to you in front of everyone, to make them all jealous. Come back soon. I'll always love you, Cheng." She replied that she needed to calm down for a few days. She said that I had hurt her too much this time. I laughed. She naturally didn't dare to come home to see me now, otherwise how could she explain to me her face like this? She also said she would come on my birthday. This put my mind at ease. The finale would be much less effective without her. Immediately afterwards, I called her mother and said we had made up. I mentioned in passing that I would propose to Guoli on her birthday. Her mother shouted excitedly and said yes. 13. On her birthday, I booked a large private room in a 5-star hotel. Guoli appeared alone, her face almost completely recovered. There was something off about her, and she told me she had been stung by a bee. I laughed. She really came up with a lame excuse. In addition to Guoli's family, I invited her 7 aunts and 8 uncles, and even her elementary school classmates, arranging for a total of 4 tables. I've never seen such a luxurious hotel before. A meal here must cost tens of thousands of yuan, right? Laogua, your daughter is really lucky to have found such a capable husband. I heard that your son-in-law is going to open a supermarket for your son. Isn't that right? My son is such a loser. He just graduated and can't find a job. Laogua, do you think you can? After 3 rounds of wine, the atmosphere in the private room became more and more lively. Her father, who had finished a whole bottle of Mount I by himself, was flushed and said to me, hugging me, that his daughter was lucky to have met me. Everyone else agreed, hoping that their daughters would meet a man like me. Only Guoli's expression remained indifferent throughout, probably because she was still angry. I thought it was about time and gave the waiter next to me a wink. The waiter understood and said a few words into the intercom. Suddenly, the lights in the entire private room went out. In their place, there was a romantic and warm candlelight. At the same time, the floor was covered with roses, and white balloons floated on the surrounding walls. Together, they formed a sentence. Marry me. Soft and beautiful music also sounded in the private room. I took my opportunity and got down on one knee, holding a 1-carat diamond ring I had bought from a jewelry store. Baby, will you marry me? I will be good to you for the rest of my life and always be by your side. Guoli was completely stunned. Seeing this, everyone shouted in unison, marry him. Marry him. Then I went on to say a bunch of corny romantic things, which moved her to tears. My heart, which had just been broken by a scumbag, was healed at that moment. I said yes. Amidst the cheers and applause of the crowd, I put the ring on her finger and we embraced. Just then, the door to the private room was suddenly pushed open. A young man came in and asked, "Excuse me, is Mr. Su Cheng here? There's a delivery for you to sign for." I froze for a moment, then stood up and motioned for the waiter to turn on the lights. The note said that it was an engagement gift for you and that you must watch it with your family and friends. After saying that, the errand boy handed me a USB flash drive. 14. Guoli's father yelled, "What a good thing, let's all watch it together." Everyone followed suit, wanting to see what was on the USB flash drive. There happened to be a computer and a large screen in the private room, so I set up the equipment and plugged in the USB flash drive. After clicking it open, there was only one video inside. I looked around. Everyone looked especially excited, intently watching the big screen. Guoli didn't understand why, but there was also a little bit of expectation in her eyes. I gave a devilish smile. I pressed the play button. "Zhang Yang, you dare to cheat on your old lady. Baby, let me explain, she's my sister-in-law. Sister-in-law? I think she's a fucking whore." Fuck you, you're the one who's for sale. Then came the images of Guoli being stripped naked and slapped a dozen times. I also turned the volume up to the maximum, for fear that the people sitting in the last row couldn't hear it. After the video finished playing, there was complete silence in the entire private room. Any fool could see what had happened. I looked at Guoli with disbelief. She was completely dumbfounded. Embarrassment, shame, anger, and confusion all crossed her face. This face changing was even more impressive than an Oscar-winning performance. Everyone looked at each other, no one daring to speak. Pop. A loud slap broke the silence. Everyone was startled. You have disgraced your mother and me, you shameless thing. Guoli was sent tumbling to the ground. It was obvious that this slap had been delivered with all her strength. How could I have given birth to such an shameless creature? Today, I will do justice for the heavens and beat you to death. As she shouted, her father picked up a wine glass and was about to smash it over Guoli's head. Seeing this, the others quickly stopped him. Her mother also couldn't stand the excitement and, with her eyes going black, fainted to the ground. Everyone was shocked and called 120 while administering first aid. The scene was chaotic for a while. I took the opportunity to slip away quietly. Because the last person to stay behind and pay the bill must not be me. After I walked out of the hotel, I took a deep breath. It turned out that the air smells so sweet. 15. As soon as I got home, I changed the combination lock and then packed up all of Guoli's things and threw them in the trash downstairs. During this time, Guoli and her father called me countless times. I could guess what they wanted to say just by looking at them. I simply blocked them all, too lazy to waste my breath on them. Next, I packed up all the evidence of Guoli's infidelity and Zhang Yang's affair and posted it online. I asked how to help me repost it using his connections. The more people who saw it the better. Of course I didn't forget to send a separate copy to the female teacher's husband, the martial arts instructor. Within a few days, a big scandal broke out at University C. It was said that a male university student had an improper relationship with a married female teacher at the school, and it was discovered by the husband. The husband of the female teacher directly found the male university student, who was teaching in the classroom, and beat him up in front of the whole class of more than 40 people. It is said that the beating was particularly severe, and no one in the classroom dared to go forward to stop it. If the police had not arrived in time, the male university student would have probably been beaten into a vegetative state. The crucial point is that his manhood was ruined. He would be no different from an eunuch for the rest of his life. Guoli didn't fare much better. Her reputation was ruined. The gym's reputation was also greatly damaged. After learning of the bad things she had done, her boss fired her immediately and demanded that she compensate the gym for the damage to its reputation. I heard that it ended up in court. Her parents also cut off contact with her and kicked her out of the house. She tried to find a job again, but no company dared to hire her. A house said that the last person to see her was by the trash cans in the food court. Thus, the grand finale of this revenge drama, which I had led, finally came to an end.